Hello everybody and welcome to the Love Team Time Trial head-to-head. Now this is a bit special tonight because what we're doing is we've already run these races. Last week we ran the wildcard final and the league final, and the two winners, it was a bit of a shame that they couldn't go head-to-head in that competition. For various reasons explained in previous broadcasts. So basically we thought it would be a bit of fun to put the two teams, the two winners, together. So we've got the wildcard winner and the league winner tonight going head to head. Now a quick look at the course here and you can see it's a lumpy affair. Now this is Leuven, which is one of RGT's real life courses, digitized, and it is absolutely stunning. You'll see as we go into the racing, we've got some landmarks to look out for during the race, but the profile really does lend itself to some really terrific racing because of the ups and downs. It's not a flat course by any means. I mean, it says an elevation of only 136 meters, but in truth you will see during the racing that plays quite a large part in the timings of the two teams. And it is only two teams tonight. Normally we have upwards of 12 teams sometimes, but tonight we've just got the winners of the league final and the winners of the wildcard final. And the two teams, we've got No Pins Race for e-racing team. Now we'll go through some of the riders as we get into the race, and I haven't got time now, but you can see on screen they've got a very good squad, and they've got power to spare. Let's put it that way. Very, very strong team. No Pins Race for have been leading the standings in the league events all season 1 as we prepare for season 2. But they've been run very, very close towards the end of the season. The reason why NZ Bro Beach Stars couldn't take part in the league final was because they were latecomers to the party. But they did, however, win the wild card. Again, another team with a very good strength in depth to choose from. And this is going to be an exciting final tonight. Yes, we know the results. Well, I'm saying we. There are many viewers, I imagine, are going to be watching this on esports television that won't know the results. So I'm not going to mention who wins it at all. We're going to treat this as a live final where I don't know the result. So here you can see the teams on the line, and it's nice to see that both teams are putting out the maximum number of riders, which is 6 riders each. No Pins Race for have got one of their stronger teams out tonight, and Beach Stars, they've taken a while to get themselves together, but they've put out an extremely strong team tonight. So this is going to be very exciting to see how they manage to cope in the early part. You can see Zach Harner has shot off the front, left his teammates couple of meters behind, but they'll quickly close up and get on his wheel. Now Beach Stars, they're really coming into their own as a unit. They've really, to say they were latecomers to the party, they've really been giving No Pins Race for a run for their money in the latter parts of season 1. And as I say, this is the reason why we decided to hold this head-to-head. For a bit of fun, but also to see, would Beach Stars be able to take over from No Pins as sort of like the race leaders or the series leaders? Because No Pins have won so many events in season 1. I think they won 5 of the 8 races that made up season 1. outright, and so they more or less bossed it. I don't think season 2, which starts this week, I don't think season 2 any one team bossing it. I think it's going to be a much more exciting series. But anyway, let's get back to today and have a look and see what's happening. Now you can see from the distances given at the bottom of the screen, where you can see they're both at 14 kilometers at the moment. Now what you should be watching for is what I'm watching for, and which of the teams closes down the quickest. So which gets to 13.8, and it was almost identical, fraction of a second between them. So there's nothing in these two teams at the moment. You can see it's clicking down, 13.7 now, it's clicking down, and both teams are going through. There we go, Beachstars just got there, fraction of a second. Not even 1 second at this point between them, with about almost 2 kilometers gone. So very, very close racing. Now we do have a 5 kilometer split to give you timings at the 5 kilometer mark, and we also have a 10 kilometer split, which is about 2/3 distance, because this is a 15 kilometer course today. Now 15 kilometers doesn't sound much, and really it isn't for a team time trial, but because of the hills, the major up and downs on this course that you can see, the red sections, that plays a part and actually slows the riders down. So it's not going to be, normally 15 kilometers you'd expect, if it was on the flat, you'd expect it to be well under 20 minutes. But I think this is going to take a little longer tonight with those hills, and I think the hills are going to play a part towards the latter half. Certainly the steepest section I know goes over 10% towards the end of the race in the last kilometre or so, and that will play a part when we see only 3 riders of the 6 need to finish. I say only 3. It's obviously beneficial for as many riders in the team to stay together, and then they can all work together drafting and taking recovery. The more members you've got drafting and to draft off, the more recovery the riders can get. The idea being is the stronger riders will do the majority of the pulling, but both teams will decide which 3 members are going to go at the end and try and get the fastest time. It is quite exciting to watch actually when you see the tactics in use, and we've been following season 1 now for 8 weeks and then the final, so 9 weeks. And there's been some very, very exciting racing. And while initially the teams, we saw quite a lot of, shall we say, mistakes made, where teams would, the strong riders would pull off the front, create gaps, and then the other riders would have to sort of like put in huge efforts to get on the wheels. That no longer happens now. You might well see a rider sort of like take a couple of bike lengths, but very, very quickly the teams stay together, which wasn't happening in the early part of the racing. And that's the reason for that, is because all the teams, and even the teams that finished lower down in the leagues, even those teams were sort of like getting the hang of it at the end of season 1, and almost all the teams were looking very, very professional. There was a couple of teams struggled to put out 6 riders every week, and I hope as we go into season 2 that won't be as much of an issue. I hope that majority of the teams taking part will be able to field 6 or 5 riders, because you're at a distinct disadvantage right from the gun if you're not fielding a full team. Now, as I'm chatting away here, you can see that Beachstars have now pulled out what looks to be about a 100-meter gap coming into the almost 5 kilometer split. Now we'll get confirmation of that as we get the timing split at 5 kilometers, but it does look like they're pulling ahead at this point. But one of the features, and they are both, as you can see, on the 6% plus hill at the moment, so Yeah, this is causing them to both string out slightly. Certainly Beach Stars are stringing out, but they will come back together. Less so for No Pins, but they will come back together as they crest this hill, which you can see if you look in the top right hand side of the screen. You can see the small graphic that shows them almost coming to the top of the hill, and then you can clearly see that it levels off and then goes back downhill. So it's very undulating. You have to be a rider capable of not just hanging on the hills, but a rider capable of being able to put in the power as you crest the hill and go on the downhill as well. A pure climber wouldn't really do well in a team time trial. You've got to be more of an all-rounder, certainly to be one of the three that finishes at the end. So Beach Stars are still maintaining this just over 100 metre gap at them. Well, in fact, it looks like it's more like 200 metres now gap. So yeah, they're maintaining the gap, as you can see from the distance left clicking down at the bottom of the screen. Now this is a surprise to me. I did watch NZ Bro actually improve week upon week, but No Pins Race for R have been so dominant in the performances that it's a little bit of a surprise to see them losing out here. Anyway, we've got the 5 kilometre split in the top left hand side of the screen, as you can see, and clearly No Pins lost 17 seconds to Beach Stars. So a 17-second gap, which equates to about 150 metres. 17 seconds, about 150 metres, I'm guessing, gap at the 5 kilometre split. Now let's see, remember that figure folks, 17 seconds. Let's see how much that gap is at the 10 kilometre mark, and whether Beach Stars actually increased the gap, or whether No Pins, who are known for doing so, whether No Pins can pull back the gap. I mean, No Pins all through the series, they haven't always led at the 5 kilometre or even at the halfway stage in the races, in the time trials, sort of like overhaul, where they've been losing a few seconds here and off the front. Now I imagine Steve will probably be one of the riders that is going to give absolutely everything he's got for his team, and then towards the end he will probably be one of the riders that drops back. Zach Harner, he's probably one of the stronger riders along with Tom Wilkinson in the No Pins team, well, in these 6 riders. So expect Zach and Tom Wilkinson to do a lot of the work on the front as well. Now Beach Stars, No Pin and NZ Bro Beach Stars, they've also got a very, very strong team here as they coming up this 4% slope. But Rooney in particular, Bleakley, well, in fact it's unfair to call out any one rider, but I have an idea who's likely to make up the 3 riders as they go into the final part. We're coming up just about to the halfway point here. That was the yellow banner that you saw them going under, and here we've got No Pins Race for R going under the halfway banner, the yellow banner, and you could clearly see there was a fair old gap there. I reckon it's gone out to about 30 seconds. So it was 17, I think it's gone out to about 30 seconds. So No Pins are actually falling behind, or when I say they're falling behind, no, that's not true. NZ Bro are just pushing on, and they're absolutely creaming No Pins at the moment. I mean, when and that's no disrespect to No Pins folks, when I say creaming, what I mean by that is they're pulling out, with every pedal stroke, they're pulling out a bigger gap, and that's unusual. That's not something we've seen in this series. We did see in the last, I think the last time trial, NZ Bro overhaul No Pins in race 8, but we expected No Pins to come back strong for that to hurt. But it appears that Beach Stars are going from strength to strength in this head-to-head. I mean, this is pretty exciting racing in as much as we've got season 2 now to look forward to. We had 15 teams taking part in season 1. We're going to have more than 15 teams signed up for season 2. So there's going to be more teams taking part. My only wish is that, you know, all the teams taking part can field full teams or close to full teams. We don't want to see what we saw in season 1 with a couple of teams struggling at the back end of the league, you know, just having to put in the free riders to make up the necessary quota. Free riders and you're out of the contention right from the very start, because team time trialing is all about team. It's all about the drafting effect of staying on your teammates' wheels, gaining recovery, and then doing your turn on the front. If you're 3 riders, you're not going to be able to do that to good effect. If you're 6 riders, then you are going to be able to do it to good effect. Now, as I say that, we've got NZ Beach Stars have dropped one of their riders off the back, and that's Ungara. So he's dropped off the back, but the rest of the riders are fairly close together. Rooney just taking a breather at the back here, but he's a very strong rider. It won't take him long to get back on the wheel. You shouldn't really leave more than a couple of bike lengths though, because you shouldn't be having to close up gaps. It's just wasted energy. You can see that No Pins are down to 4 riders now. Now Steve Brearley has actually dropped out, so my prediction was correct. He did actually put in all that huge effort on the front, and then he's dropped out of the team time trial altogether. But also Bonar has dropped off the front as well. So No Pins are down now to 4 riders, and it looks like they're pushing on actually with 3. It looks like Matt Luff, although I suspect Matt will actually put in a dig and get back to these 3 riders. Matt is too strong a rider to be left behind here. So my feeling is that he's going to, there he comes around the bend and gets straight on the wheels, which is what you would expect. And similarly with Beach Stars, they're doing much the same. They're 5 riders now, but those 5 riders are going to stay, and just look how close they are together, and that's perfect. In a team time trial, you want to be taking maximum effect of the drafting, and Beach Stars, I have to say, are doing a much better job than No Pins in that regard. If you look at the bikes and the distances between the riders, I mean, yes, Beach Stars are pushing on now, but the 10-kilometer split we've got up on screen, as you can see. Now the gap was 17 seconds, and Beach Stars have pushed that out to 34. So they basically doubled the gap in the second 5 kilometers. Now what will the gap be at the end? Because it's a 15-kilometer course, so we've got the 5-kilometer split, the 10-kilometer split, and the 15-kilometer finish. Are they going to be able to take another 17 seconds, which would make 51 in total, if I'm doing my maths right, and I think I am. So yeah, 51 seconds in total. My guess is that they will get that 51 seconds, and possibly even a little bit more, because it's just over a 15-kilometer course, 15.3 I think. So yeah, and that, folks, is quite a large gap to get on a team like No Pins Race 3R, who, as I say, have been dominant all through season 1. So season 2 is going to be very much more exciting than season 1 was, in terms of, I don't think Beach Stars will boss it for the full season. I think No Pins, you know, this is going to be stinging. They're going to be watching this broadcast, don't get me wrong, they're definitely going to be watching this broadcast and seeing how they were taken to task by Beach Stars, and they're going to want to put that right. They're not going to let this stand, I can say that definitely. So that's going to make for some exciting races. But you've also got another few teams knocking on the heels as well. Sorry, knocking on the door, should I say, chasing the heels of these two teams. And I think we're going to see more than just two teams battling it out come season 2 for the top of the table. I mean, OTR Black in particular were looking very strong towards the end. Poker Motion, they were looking very strong. Albeit, and Poker Motion, the reason why they fell off the radar a little bit was because they struggled to put teams together towards the end of the series, full teams. I don't think they'll have that problem in season 2. So expect to see Poker Motion. Ciboire, they were also pushing towards the top. So you've got 5 teams there, you know, that I've mentioned, all capable of pushing for wins, I think, in season 2. So, I mean, we're not going to know until the races are underway, but you can see that NZ Beach Stars, Bro Beach Stars, have pushed this gap out now to about 300 meters, possibly 350, as Rooney just drops off the back. Now, will he get back on? I think he'll get back on. He's off the back here on this 5% climb, but I think he'll get back on towards the end. We've got 1.7 kilometers, having said that, 1.7 kilometers remaining. Maybe not. No pins are down to 3 riders now. They've dropped Matt Looker. He's 60 meters behind, but I wouldn't put it past Matt Looker to close up that gap, to be honest, and join these 3 on the front. Although realistically, probably not, because the 3 on the front, Bard, Hannah and Wilkinson, probably the 3 stronger riders and really pushing for the line to get the fastest time. So yeah, Matt Looker's not going to close up, of that I'm pretty sure. Now Beach Stars, you can see that they're also pushing on. 1 kilometer banner coming up. That's the red Flamme Rouge that you can see just ahead. Here they go, going under the red banner. 1 kilometer to go. And still 4 riders, which is pretty impressive. I can't tell you how important drafting is, folks. I mean, they won't stay together as they get into the last few hundred meters. You know, they'll really start to push on. And the time is given on the 3rd rider. So the 3rd rider crossing the line is the one that the time is given from. Now you can see no pins here. Now I know the other team went under at 19:06, so 34 seconds give or take. No pins were behind, so they have actually closed up some of the gap that they were losing towards the end of this race. At least I believe so. We'll know in the final times. I was saying 51 seconds, but they may well be able to close that up. And they usually do. They usually do claw back a few seconds towards the end. Now you can see that I think these 4 riders are really all going to push, and they're going to battle it out between the 4 of them to see which 3 will finish over the line. And I've no way of calling this. I don't know which riders are going to be the strongest, but there they go over the line. 2025 for Beach Stars. So 2025, we're going to split now to no pins, and here we go. They're down to 3 riders. They dropped Matt Looker, so they're down to 3. Liam Bard pushing off the front, trying to encourage his teammates to get on his wheel and get a fast time here. Now 2025, we're coming up to 20, that's 25 seconds. I make that 30 seconds. 30. You know, they've pulled back some time here. They've pulled back some time here, folks. That is a pretty good finish from no pins. Let's have a look at the 2 times, 21:05, 2025. They actually pulled it back. Here we go. We'll get look at the splits. Now, if you look at the splits, obviously the time's out on screen. Here we go. 17 seconds at the 5 kilometre, 34 seconds at the 10 kilometre. But then at the end, we expected, if it remained 17 seconds, we'd expect 51 seconds, but not a bit of it. No pins were able to pull back, what we got, 25, so 40 seconds. So they were able to pull back 11 seconds from the expected finish. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but it does prove the point that no pins are by far the strongest finishing team in the team time trial competition. Doesn't mean they're going to win every week, and they haven't won this final, but they are the strongest finishers that we've seen, and I've noticed that week in, week out. So that's something to watch for if no pins can stay close to Beach Stars in the coming series. You know, stay within a few seconds of them going into the finish, then realistically they have a chance of overhauling not just Beach Stars but other teams. So we'll watch for that. But that's it for tonight, folks. It's a short broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, because this was basically a bit of fun that me and my producer Damon put together for you to watch. It will go out on esports television. Before I go off air, a big shout out to Tom Cycle Clothing for sponsoring this series and the finals. Now, coming soon, as you can see, League 2 starts on the 1st of May. Sorting week, the 20th. I mean, I'm reading this for the first time. That's why I'm a bit hesitant. Sorting week is 24th of April, so that's next week, next Sunday. And then the league starts the Sunday after on the 1st of May. I'm definitely looking forward to this, because I think it's going to be an exciting series. I mean, season 1 was very exciting, but I think this is going to trump that. Purely and simply because we're going to have more teams and we're going to have closer races, and the majority of the teams that are going to be fighting for the top spots now have experience behind them of how it all works and how it all plays out. So on that note, folks, I'm going to say good night. It's evening here in the Netherlands, which is where I am. I hope you're in good spirits and enjoying your cycling. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.